Good evening. Welcome to Yoga in Your PJs. I've got Amber helping me tonight, and this is our third class in this series of Celtic wisdom. So we're going to start seated today. So kind of shake it off a little bit. Let's move it. Whatever you need to shake off. I'm going to tell you the theme right away because you get the drift. It's sacred flow. So sacred movement. And then we're really going to relax the arms and start doing some slow circles from the torso, like nice and relaxed. Make sure you mute yourselves. Just flowing. And reverse the direction. And then back to center. We're going to inhale those arms up. Exhale to the right. Inhale back up. Exhale to the left. And I'm going to let you flow. Continuing to flow. And just don't worry about the breath. Maybe you're inhaling on the left or exhaling on the right. It doesn't matter. Just flow smoothly with the breath. So sacred flow is a Celtic principle. And the Celts believe that God, the divine, was a flow, like a subterranean river that courses through the veins of the universe. That's what God is. And then when you've finished your flow, you inhale your arms up. And you exhale, you reach forward, and you just take a deep breath in here. Exhale, take it back, open. Inhale at the top, exhale forward, inhale. So just flowing, and it doesn't matter what it looks like. It doesn't matter when and how you breathe. Just do everything with fluidity. Thinking of how the divine is that river coursing through the veins of the universe. And when you come back up, you bring your arms up, deep breath in. Exhale, arms parallel to the floor. So push against the walls in your life that prevent you from flowing. Is there anything in your life that's hard, that doesn't want to move, that's just there, that wants to keep you stuck? Everything that interrupts the flow of your life, of your soul. And then gently push against it. Because our soul is like water. Nothing can stop it. You know, a wall, even if there's a wall, the water is going to find some cracks to flow underneath. So push against that wall. And then take a deep breath in. Exhale, find Vita Mudra. Remember this, that mudra with the hands kind of close to each other and not too close, not too far. And feel the energy flowing between your hands and let it move. It's like kind of like putty, is that what it's called? Putty. And how much energy do you have tonight? If your hands are very close, maybe you don't have that much. If they're a little further apart, maybe you have a little more. So the Celts believe that there is a sacred flow, and that sacred flow is God. And if it stops, everything ceases to exist. When things start flowing, moving, there's nothing. And God is a flow. That divine energy is a flow. Deep breath in. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, hands just above the knees. And then inhale into a seated cow. Just lift the front. So this is the flow of receiving, of taking in. Exhale, seated cat. Just round the back. This is the flow of just receiving, taking in. And we're going to do a few more flows. Inhale. Exhale. And as with all the flows, you know, if there comes a time when you just want to go slower or faster, it's up to you. We are in charge of the flow that is in us. And then hold either the cat or the cow. Just hold it. And even when you still feel the flow, Then super slow, come back up. If you're on the chair, back against the back of the chair. Right hand to left shoulder. Inhale. Exhale, left arm behind you. We're going to twist. Katri Chikrasana actually literally means a flow. A flow into a twist, a turning flow, a wheel. Think of a wheel, you know, a wheel by itself. It has so much power. It can take us anywhere. But a wheel that is not moving, it's just a piece of wood. I mean, a piece of rubber or wood. Or inhale, exhale, other side, left hand to right shoulder. So what does that remind you of, that flow, that sacred flow? And then back to center. We're going to come into our turtle. So soles of the feet together in front of us, far enough so we can fold. Inhale up, exhale, flow and fold. That sacred Celtic flow reminds us of prana, right? Prana, the yogic energy, the force of life, the flow of life. And I would like to read to you the St. Patrick's Prayer. So St. Patrick, we all know, is the Saint Patron of Ireland. And there's a prayer to him, the Loica of St. Patrick. And what's weird, the verse I'm going to read to you right now, they don't have it in the Western Christian hymns. In Ireland, you know, in the Celtic tradition, they have it. But they took it away from the Western Christian hymn books because it was a little too flowy. So this is this fourth verse that they took away, but we still have it. I bind to myself today the energy of the stars, the brilliance of the sun, the whiteness of the moon, the splendor of the fire, the flashing of the lightning, the wildness of the wind, the depths of the seas, the fecundity of the earth, and the solidity of the rocks. And we think that, you know, they took it away from the prayer Christian Western hymn books because he talked about the sacred energies of the earth. You know, he talked about the earth, the moon, and all things that the Celts considered sacred. And they didn't really like that. I'm going to take 2 more breaths here. Inhale, exhale, back to center. Now we're going to do the balancing flower. Keep your hands under your feet and lift. It's hard to lift on the chair. You can, but you don't have to. You don't have to. Inhale, exhale, tortoise. You open wider, as wide as you can, without falling, and just relax. So the 5th and 6th century were the golden age of Celtic Christianity. You know, Roman missionaries came to the British Isles and they brought in Christianity. And as we talked about before, the Celts were very open to it. They liked Jesus. They liked the idea of Jesus Christ. And they said, he's a druid. He's one of us. So it was really a golden age because they were kind of left alone. And they did that beautiful thing between the Celtic traditions of the earth, the moon, the stars, and this idea of Jesus being that symbol of just love and generosity and hospitality. Relax a little more. We'll do 30 more seconds. And allow yourself to feel what is flowing. That's the beauty of yoga. Even when we still, especially when we still, there is a deep flow going on. The flow is even deeper when we still. In the depths of our being, that flow comes forward. Deep breath in. Exhale, super slow, come back up. And you can do your balancing happy baby if you want. Or you can just stay here where you are. Deep breath in. Exhale, release it to regular butterflies. Those are the feet close to you. Wiggle around a little bit if you need to. Relax those shoulders. Inhale, exhale. If you wish, you tuck the chin and you hold a little bit, or you can just stay at the top. And for about a minute, witness the deep flow of that deep river coursing through the veins of the universe. And that flow that courses through the veins of the universe, of the stars, of the moon, of the earth, it is also the energy that courses through your veins. And that's the beauty of it. The energy of God is in everything. It's in the rock. It's in us doing yoga. It's in the storm that we had earlier. It's in the sunset that we're going to have in a little bit. Just feel that connection between all those flowing energies. Deep breath in. Exhale. Two more breaths. Inhale. Exhale, come back up. Bring your arms behind you. Lift your heart. And release. Shake it off. Shake your legs in front of you. Next, we're going to do the cat pulling itself. So you're going to go to your side. So Amber is going to show you first. I'll show on the chair in a minute. The top leg's going to go forward as far forward as you can. Then your right arm, top arm is going to grab the leg. And you're just going to relax here and let it be stretched. If you are on the chair, you are going to put the strap around the ball of whichever foot you prefer. And bring it past your midline here. And your other leg can be on a block or blankets or pillows on your side. That's optional here. And every time you exhale, you kind of bring it past the midline. And we're just going to hold here. And again, feeling the flow. Sacred flow. Sacred prana. So in tantric yoga, in tantric Ayurveda, we always talk about how the deepest flow you can have is the flow of the heart. The flow of the heart. So when we are in the flow, when we are in harmony with the flow, we feel it in the heart. There's a sense of contentment, a sense of just compassion, and a deep sense of humility. That's the thing, when we're in the flow, it's not about, I'm in the flow, I'm in the flow. Even though we might feel it, but it's like, wow, I'm in the flow. And feeling very grateful and very humble to have connected to that flow. I'm going to do 30 more seconds here. Just letting your body be stretched where it needs to. Actually, there's a cool story about that. There were some, I guess, men coming from Rome to Ireland. I mean, actually to Scotland, to the community island of Iona. And, they wanted the Celts to kind of be more kind of surrendered to the hierarchy of Rome instead of doing their own thing. They wanted them to do things just as they wanted them to do. So they came over and they received them, and then the person that received them, I guess he was the king, asked a wise old man, a wise old druid, how do I trust them? And the old druid said, well, you're going to trust them if they are men, if the leader, if he's a man of God. And he's like, how do I know if he's a man of God? And the old man said, you will know he's a man of God if he's humble. If he's humble. So the king, that received them went back, and the old man had said, he's humble if when you come into the room, he gets up, he honors you, he gets up. So he went back into the room, and the envoy from Rome did not get up. So humility is part of that sacred flow. Now we're going to release. It's very important to release on your belly and your chest, never on your back. So you're going to roll over to your belly and chest, and you're going to leave that leg. You're going to leave that leg open. Sorry, and go on your belly and chest, and you're going to leave that leg open here. Got it. That gives you a nice stretch here. And in the chair, you're just going to let go of the strap and kind of stretch your legs, or maybe rest them. Rest your chest. Now you're going to roll over to the other side. So you roll over to your right. You put the top leg forward, bend the back leg and grab it. And if you can't grab the leg, that's okay. Don't worry about it. And on the chair, we're going to do the other side. So you can put your stuff here. Put the leg on it. And then strap it. And just bring it to the center. Try to bring it to the center. And breathe. So humility, the humility of the flow of life, of the sacred flow. Breathe from the depth of your being and back into the depth of your being. Any more seconds? And notice that the more relaxed you are, the deeper you go into that flow inside of you. That is very calm. It's powerful, but it's calm. Deep breath in. Exhale, carefully roll over to your back and belly. Keep that leg open. And just relax. Here on the chair. And just relax. So we talked last week about how sacred water was for the Celts. Breaking the waters, a pregnant woman, before she gives birth, before something is born, the waters break. And the importance of the shoreline, that shoreline, that threshold between the ground, the beach, and the water. So water is very, very sacred with the Celts. And now you can bring the legs close together. And super slowly, when you're ready, come into your child's pose. And if you want, you can make it, Amber's going to show you, make it a very relaxing child's pose by putting a bolster under you. And just relax. So there's a beautiful saying about this flow that comes deep. It's actually a prayer, a way to pray. And in the monasteries of Iona, that Scottish island, that Celtic Christian monastery, they only had one rule. The rule was now, you have to obey the abbess or the head monk, or you have to stop eating. No, none of those rules. The main rule was when you pray, you want to pray until the tears come. You want to pray until the tears come from deep, deep within you. You want to pray and go so deep when you pray. And it goes deep in you where the tears come from. You want to pray until the tears come. And what it means, you want to pray until you are open to the flow. I love this so much. I wrote it on the card and I have it. I have it on this card. Pray until the tears flow. Until the tears come. And from here, we're going to do the frog. So for the frog, you can place alongside of your mat. You can stay right where you are. So you open your knees and your hips as wide as you can. And we're going to do it. Amber's going to show it to you on the bolster today. And then, beautiful. And then your hips are nice and high. And you just relax that belly. If you don't want the bolster, you don't have to use it. On the chair, you sit at the top of the chair. And you open wide. You open the legs wide. And then same thing with the head. And feel the flow of surrender. So flow scares us sometimes. Tears scare us. We think there's that thing about if we cry, we weak, which is not true at all. There is a lot of courage in allowing the flow of tears to break through, to break forth. Carl Jung said, when we cry, when we weep, something in the salt sea of life's origins is stirring in us again. I'm going to repeat that. When we weep, something in the salt sea of life's origins is stirring in us again. The tears awaken to the flow at the heart of our being. The tears help us to awaken to that flow that is at the heart of our being. I will send you that quote. Sacred flow of humility, of compassion, of love, of tears. We're going to do one more minute here in silence, just feeling that deep flow. And if the tears come, that's okay. Sometimes in yoga, we find ourselves crying. We don't know why. The reason is that there's something that wants to come to the surface. And the transition from this frog back into the baby frog is going to be very slow. We're going to flow into it slowly. So bring yourself back up, big toes together, and you're going to sit back on your heels. Sit back on your heels, keep your knees wide. It's like a child's pose with the knees wide. In the chair, you just scooch back. And same thing. And breathe. So tears cleanse our inner side. They wash the lens of our heart. They help us have clarity. They're cleansing. And they are, I mean, I don't want to do a big lesson about tears, but there are different types of tears and they have different components and they taste different. Tears of joy, tears of pain, tears of passion, tears of frustration, they are different. And super slow, to stretch the shoulder. So with the palm out, slide the right arm into the left shoulder. Turn your head to the right. Yeah, get rid of your bolster. And we're so good. Okay. On the chair, you can just do it this way. Okay. So you have the flow in the prayers, the flow of the divine energy, you have the flow of the tears, the release. And then you have something else that's very typical of Celtic wisdom. It's the flow of the wisdom, the flow of the teachings. Release, other side. Left arm on the right shoulder. Or you can do it in the chair, sitting up. And we're going to release. I'm going to come into our regular child's pose, knees closer. Everything coming back to center. Take about 30 seconds. And come up to your hands and knees. We're going to do some hip flows, hip circles. Just do some hip circles. Reverse the direction. And then we're going to do an easy down dog. Easy downward dog. And then from the down dog, right leg high. Bring right knee by right wrist. And strengthen the bottom leg. And you release. Yeah, you release in a pigeon. In a pigeon. Sorry. In the swan. I just heard the doorbell ring. And then you come down, and if you want, you can use the bolster here too. And just relax. And remember, on the floor, you can also do it that way. Ankle above the knee, right behind. And just relax. On the chair, you're going to bring right ankle above right knee. So the flow of wisdom in the Celtic tradition. Well, I told you that the 5th and 6th century in the British Isles, Scotland, Ireland, Wales, were the golden age of Celtic Christianity. But in the 12th century, Rome the Catholic Church of Rome said, no more, no more. You conform or you get out. Conform or get out. So lots of the Druids, lots of the Celts, they started becoming wanderers, wandering wise men. They call them the Culdes, 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 which means companions of God. And we're just wandering teachers. So they were flowing from village to village, from house to house, helping people. You know, sometimes they would sit by the fireplace, teach them. Sometimes they would help the people. The people needed help with their crops or to do some work, they would help. They were flowing through the lives of people and sharing wisdom with them, teaching them with humility and lots of love. For 30 more seconds. Have you ever encountered a Kuldi? Have you ever encountered a companion of God, a wandering teacher? Sometimes the wandering teachers are people we meet. Maybe we're at the store, or maybe we're traveling, and we meet that one person and we have maybe just a few words with them or a long discussion, and they teach us something. Maybe with a smile, maybe with just something they say or the way they act. Wisdom flows. It's not just in schools and universities. Wisdom is everywhere. It flows when we're ready to receive it. And now from this, we're going to come into the seated half butterfly. So we're going to come out just a little bit, sit on our right hip, and bring the left leg around. Like Amber's doing. She's already in it. Here we can do it that way. And we're going to inhale, exhale, fold over the leg. And same thing, you can have bolsters here. You can have things to make it more available. So those wandering teachers also went to Europe, to mainland Europe. And in Europe, they were called the Scottish travelers. No, we're not travelers. They were called the Peregrini, or the Scottish Vagaras. That they were not just all Scottish, they were Irish, they were Welsh, and Scots as well. And also from Cornwall. Cornwall had a good base of Celtic. They remain, Cornwall has always been a little bit a rebel in England, in the English part of the isle. So all those wandering teachers went through Europe, and they went to the court of France, and they just taught people. We're going to do 2 more breaths here. And then we're going to flow forward and then back up super, super slow. Just feel it, feel it. Oh. Release, arms behind you, lift apart. And we're going to conclude this flow with the shoelace or the double pigeon or the 99. So you're kind of going to sit on that foot, on that right foot, and Bo's going to show you. And the left ankle goes on the right knee, or if you can't do that, it goes in the front. You can go in the front if you can. Put it on the knee. And you stay at the top when you fold again here. Breathe in, breathe out. And notice how the more you surrender, the more it flows. I mean, in yoga poses, it's always like that. If we tighten, we're not going to go anywhere. And if we surrender, and the breath will be longer, and the stretch will go deeper, it's like there's no more barriers when we surrender to the flow, to the prana. Two more breaths. And we're going to come up super, 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 super slow, super slow, super slow. And same thing here, back against the back of the chair. If you're on the mat, just arms behind you, lift the heart. And release. And sit on one hip, and you go come back into your downward dog. Take a few moments here. If you prefer being in child's pose, go in child's pose, whatever feels right. And we're going to do the other side, the swan or pigeon, left leg high, left knee by left wrist, drop that back leg. And here, we're going to do the same. So ankle above the knee, or you can put it on the block. And just relax. And I'm going to be quiet here in this pigeon, in this swan. Again, just letting you feel the flow of breath, the flow of body, the flow of the subtle part of you as well. The flow that no one can see, only you can feel. One more breath. Super slowly flowing back up, just halfway. And we're going to sit on that hip and on the left hip and bring the right leg forward. And the foot, the higher the foot is, the deeper you stretch, Inhale out. And just relax. So one of the most famous Peregrini, the wandering scholar, the wandering monks, they were also called the merchants of wisdom. I love that, the merchants of wisdom. That's a good job title, isn't it? Merchant of wisdom. Oh, on Instagram when they ask you to put what you are, the merchant of wisdom. So it was John Scholars Erigena. John Scholars Erigena. And at the end of the series, I will give you a book that I inspire myself from mostly. And all of that will be in there. There's lots of history, and if you want to know more about Celtic wisdom. And he was a wandering monk. He also didn't want to conform, so he got out. And actually he was welcomed in the court of France and super slow flow up. It was kind of very revered in the court of France, which makes me feel good. Release arms behind you. And then center. So you're going to bring that foot a little closer, like Amber's doing, and then the leg can be in the front, or it can be on top. And you can stay or you can swim. And he's the one who coined the phrase that, that of the sacred flow, that God was a sacred flow, was a sacred energy. And he said, actually, theos, theo in Greek, theology is the study of God. Theo actually means at the root of it in Greek, it means to flow. So it means God, but it means to flow. So he said, God means to flow. God is a flow. It's a light. It's a light that flows through everything. And he was excommunicated by Rome and came back, and then he went back to I think to Wales or Ireland. He continued writing and teaching, and now he's very popular right now. Everything he did really is coming back. What he taught was the cosmology of the sacred. That the sacred is not just, in the little room, in the little building, it's everywhere. 2 more breaths. Sacred river of God runs through all of us and all of life. And come up super, super slow. Arms behind you. Lift the front. And release. Full body stretch. And when you're ready, you're going to come all the way to your back. Take your time. And we're going to do a banana. We're going to do a bananasana, banana pose. So stretch your feet, arms overhead. So right hand is going to grab left wrist. And then you're going to lean to your right. So, kind of the shape of a banana. And then you're going to cross one ankle over the other. And it depends. Try the outside ankle, cross over the inside ankle. And the legs are also going to go to the right. So you're kind of forming a banana shape. It's like a half moon pose on your back. And if it's too much to grab the wrist, grab just the fingertips. What you want is to just have that good half moon shape on your left side. Just stand up, shake it off. And then do the other side. Left hand grabs right wrist or right fingertips. Lean to your left and then cross one ankle over the other. And again, try different. For me, it's the outside over the inside one that works best. And form that half banana shape. To your left. And breathe. So the Roman Catholic Church really depended on hierarchy. There was supposed to be order. There was supposed to be someone at the top that told everyone what to do. The Celtic spirituality was very different. There was no central power. It's like it was more individual. It was more, about looking at nature and trusting your conscience, your consciousness. So that's why they said, conform or get out. Okay, one more breath. Release. Whoo. Give yourself a few stretches here. And then relax your arms by your side. Relax those arms. Take a few breaths there. And then hug your knees to your chest. Hug your knees. And find a happy baby. Grab your insteps. If you're on the chair, just grab behind your thigh, pull them towards your chest. So, when John Scott or Regina said, God is a sacred river that runs through all of us, it was a danger to the empire. The empire wanted to believe that God was a sacred river that ran only from Rome, from the Vatican. Release into the butterfly. Oh, open your arms whichever way you want. Let your beautiful energy awakened by yin yoga just flow. So one more thing that I want to share that John Scott Origenes talked about, I feel is very, very important. He said that God speaks through two books. There's a small book and there's a big book. So the small book is the scriptures. The scriptures that we actually, read on the books. And if we just listen to God through that one book, it's limiting. It's very limiting. We don't really get to experience. And then there is the big book. The big book is the universe, everything around us, the cosmos. And that's the big book. But if we only listen to this big book, then we don't have the intimacy, of the words, of the hymns, of the intentions, that the chants. So we need the two of them. We need the big book and the small book to really hear the divine flow. Back to center. We're going to do our final twist. Right leg over left. You're going to tuck your right hip under and let your cross legs go to the right. And here, left hand on right knee. And you're going to twist to the right. And left. So what we do in yoga poses, especially in yin yoga, because we really hold, we establish the flow. So, by being in the pose, you put pressure on the point that is tight. And you kind of gently putting pressure on it, compression. You release the flow. When you get out of the pose, you have created space. And now release everything to the side. Just relax everything to the side. So by holding in yin yoga, you release the flow. Back to stand up. Check it out. And another side. When you're ready, left leg on right leg. And twist to your side. So throughout this series, you realize that all those sacred principles are yogic principles. The first one was sacred soul. The second one, sacred feminine, which is feminine energy, which is yin energy, and now sacred flow. All spiritual traditions have the same core. And release everything to the side. Back to set up our full body stretch. So we have our legs up to finish. So you can just put your legs up. You can put a block under your lower back if you want. Oops. Then put your block under your lower back. You can do a plow, you can do a shoulder stand, Or you can have your legs up against the wall. You can do that as well. If you're home, do what feels right to you. 3 minutes. I'm going to read again the St. Patrick, the fourth verse of St. Patrick, which is all about that flow of life everywhere, all around us. I bind to myself today the energy of the stars, the brilliance of the sun, the whiteness of the moon, the splendor of the fire, the flashing of lightning, the wildness of the wind, the depths of the seas, the fecundity of the earth, and the solidity of the rock. Now, super, super slowly, we're going to flow the legs back down. Super slow. So I was saying my class is flow does not mean fast. So flowing, and then allow your body to flow whichever way feels right. And then we're going to do one more little flow with our legs. We're going to open our legs as wide as the mat. We're going to do windshield wipers. Legs to the right, and float your own rhythm. And notice what your body wants to do. Maybe the body like, oh, I want to stay a little longer on the right here. Oh yeah, get that itch. The other side. So when we flow, you know, it's like we don't have to control it. We let ourselves be in the flow. And then do one more on each side. And then prepare for your relaxation for Yoga Nidra. So for Yoga Nidra, I know you can put a bolster under your knees. You can put a bolster against your back. Well, you comfy? Deep breath in. Exhale. And this is actually the most sacred flow of all, Yoga Nidra. You know, last week we talked about transition. This is that threshold, that portal between the doing, the poses, you know, the compressing and the to make sure you get everything back into flow. So from that doing into that complete being, receiving completely. The flow of Yoga Nidra is in the depth of your being. And things start to come forth in Yoga Nidra because you are completely humble and you're completely surrendering. So allow yourself to feel the breath, your breath, be the breath of the universe. So visualize something out in the cosmos that's breathing right now. That's could be a star, it could be the moon, it could be the sun, or it could be a tree, it could be a flower, it could be a rock. I mean, anything outside of you that is breathing, that has a flow in it. I mean, even a rock doesn't breathe, but a rock has a flow to it. So it could be something small, it could be something big, like the sun or the moon or the stars. And as you take a breath, visualize that other thing, entity, breathing as well, breathing with you. Like if you chose the moon, your breath is the breath of the moon. If you chose a flower, your breath is the breath of that flower. Awake, O my soul, to the flow of the divine deep within me. Awake to it in every creature, in every woman, in every man. It is our river of resurrection, the promise of new beginnings. Awake, O my soul, to the flow of the divine deep within me. Allowing yourself to feel the flow within you, and how it matches the flow of the universe around you. Take your time, stay here a little longer if you wish. Connecting to the sacred flow is a very, very precious thing. Realizing that the energy that moves us is the energy that moves the planets. And that God is that flow, that sacred flow that runs through everything. You can stay right where you are or start moving. Please don't force it. And let the flow take over. The sacred flow. You can come back to seated if you want, and you can come into Vita Mudra if you wish, just kind of feeling your own flow. And just like those merchants of wisdom that just wandered around Europe teaching that sacred flow to others, I feel that in the world now there's a new generation of peregrini, of merchants of wisdom that are seeking and sharing that connection between all of us. And that sacred flow can start very simply. It can start between two people. that really feel connected. You can start with you feeling connected to your breath in the morning, to the world around you, to the sun, to the moon. It could be you feeling connected to your tears, to your emotions, connected to the beautiful depth of your heart. Allowing yourself to feel that flow, that sacred flow that runs through your veins. Palms together. We're going to share one Om, which is a sacred flowing sound. Inhale. The sacred flow in me honors the sacred flow in you. Namaste. Thank you so much for joining us.
Namaste.
Thank you, Amber, for being here with us tonight.
Thank you both. Glad I could join you for part of the class.
I'm glad you could be here.
Thank you, ladies. Have a good night. Peace
Thank
and
you.
namaste.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.